How is it going, everyone? It's Kate Limited here, and today we are going to be talking about a PlayStation 1 video game that I have never played before until now. And I have to say that I do like the games that come from this franchise, so I was looking forward to this one, and it's not quite what I expected. However, I would not say that it is a bad game. It's just kind of an odd game. Today we're going to be talking about Tiny Toon Adventures, Plucky's Big Adventure. I love the Tiny Toon games, especially the 8-bit and 16-bit ones. I think they're phenomenal. I was hoping for kind of more of the same with this game. However, it does take a very different direction from those games. This game is kind of like a point-and-click adventure without the point and clicking, if that makes sense. You're basically just trying to solve puzzles, and if you've ever played a point-and-click adventure game before, you're basically just going around and click on things that you can interact with, trying to find different things by interacting with different items and stuff like that. And that's what you do in this game. You literally just go up to different things. You can still free roam with your character, walk around with your character and throughout this little environment that they give you, and you can still search things with your character, but you're just searching through a bunch of stuff, interacting with a bunch of different things to find puzzle pieces that you need to solve different riddles, to solve different puzzles, to try to craft. There's like a weird, I don't want to say, like, make it sound like it's really complicated or like complex, because when I say crafting system, I mean really that you're just combining a couple different items into one, usually. So that's what I mean when I say that. Like, sometimes some puzzles will require 2 items and stuff like that. So you're interacting with things, trying to find the different items that you need to solve puzzles. And it's not really a bad game. It's just kind of average, and it does require some cartoony logic. Throw your regular logic out the window. Sometimes you're going to have to use a bit of cartoony logic on this game. And not everything is as laid out for you as it probably should be. Now, that being said, the graphics of this game look fantastic. It plays just fine. Never had an issue with the way it plays. It actually performed very, very well, and I had no issue with that. The Tiny Toon characters, you actually get to play as a bunch of the different Tiny Toon characters, which was pretty cool. You get to play as, of course, Plucky, but you also get to play as Hampton, Babs, and Buster, so that was kind of cool. And you do have to avoid those 2 little brats that are running around, Max and Elmira. You have to run around and avoid them because they'll try to, like, hug you and basically suffocate your character. Max will just try to beat up your character and bully him, but Elmira will try to hug your character and suffocate him. But you're basically trying to avoid them while trying to find these puzzle pieces. And you're trying to basically find all these puzzle pieces and bring them back to Plucky so Plucky can make a time machine. He's working on making a time machine to go to the past because he forgot his homework. And that's literally the entire story of this game. It's enough to get you to play the game. That's all they really care about, okay? It doesn't need to be something fancy. It's a Tiny Toon adventure story. They did what they needed to do to make a video game, and honestly, that's fine. I don't think there needed to be anything crazy with this game. This game, like I said, it's not bad. I like a lot of the puzzles. Honestly, a lot of the puzzles aren't too bad, just trying to find the things you need and combine them with different objects that you see lying around, or using them on different objects that you see in the school that you're in. Like, that stuff is usually fine, but every now and then it has a moment where you're not quite sure what to do, and it doesn't really give you a good idea of what to do. For example, there is one point in it where you have to give this can of laughs to another character, but you can't just walk up and give them to the character. There's like this short pause in between the dialogue, and that's the only time you can actually give him this can. You can't just walk up and give it to him. You have to time it right, and it doesn't really give you any clear indication for that, so you kind of have to figure that out yourself. And the only other puzzle that I would say is actually kind of like bad is there's a puzzle towards the end where it needs you to you have a tack and an inflated glove, and you have to pop the glove to scare this crow out of its crow's nest. But you can't use the bent tack. You have to go and actually sharpen the tack, and you have to use a compressor? You have to compress the tack into a sharp tack. It was a very odd one, again. Kind of more cartoony logic, but it is what it is, I still like the puzzles for the most part. I think a lot of it was pretty basic. I don't know if I would have gotten and understood all of the riddles if I was a kid and stuff. There's some riddles that I'm not sure if I would have understood, but as an adult, they were pretty easy to figure out and pretty easy to solve. So, and I think that for the most part, it will basically be old folks like me playing this game at this point, people who look back fondly on Tiny Toons and stuff like that, and look back fondly on these characters and the setting and everything, and just really like, Looney Tunes style stuff in general. So I think if you are looking for just a fun Looney Tunes, Tiny Toon adventure style story and just a fun little game, this isn't a terrible game. It's not the most exciting game, I will say, but it's not terrible either. You know, it didn't get reviewed very well back when it released, but I don't really know what people were expecting, you know? I actually had zero expectations going in for this game because I didn't really know what it was. I just got it because there's Tiny Toons. But even going in with zero expectations, like, I think that's still an okay game. I don't think it's bad. I don't think that there's anything egregiously bad about it. I think that it's just a very average adventure game that has a lot of puzzles to it. Not all the puzzles make sense, but considering it's a cartoon, you gotta use a lot of cartoony logic, and that's how it works. So I actually don't mind this game. I've seen some people say that it's taken them a long time, but I don't think that it will take most people very long anymore. You know, anyone who is playing this game is, like I said, is probably an old fart like me, and is playing these games and probably can solve all the puzzles pretty easily. So you can beat this game pretty quickly. I beat it in less than 2 hours, and I did enjoy my time with it, though. I thought it was pretty fun for the most part, even though it is pretty average. I feel like as long as you go into this game with pretty much no expectations, or go into this game knowing that it's basically just a really easy, simple puzzle game that has some stuff that you may not be able to find out, you know, very quickly, but you'll eventually figure it out, or you can just look up a guide to figure it out. I think once you go into this knowing that it's basically just a point-and-click adventure game without the point-and-clicking, you know, you actually still get to control your character and walk around this area. I think as long as you know that going into it, you're probably going to enjoy this game just fine. It's not a bad game. It really isn't. The only thing I would say that is probably a pretty big negative is that I wish that there was more places to explore other than just the school. The school is fine. It's fine for what they were going for. It makes sense. But it is a very small area. You know, you do unlock more areas of the school as you continue on in this game. But again, I wanted more. I wanted a few more areas to explore outside of this schoolyard, but it is what it is. It's not terrible. But go check out Tiny Toon Adventures if you are a Tiny Toon Adventures fan. I am a fan of it. I do want to play more of the Tiny Toon games in the future. I've already reviewed a few of them on the channel. Go check out those reviews. And if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe button down below. I will talk to you in the next one. You guys have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.